Victor Lucas. This is my friend Johnny Millennium. You're watching Film Fury, and we're going to review Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. But first, we have to thank our friends at the VFS School of Film. Talking about a film school, let's talk about Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets, directed by Luc Besson, written by Luc Besson, starring Dane DeHaan and Cara Delevingne. What did you think of this movie, my friend?
You know, we just reviewed The Fifth Element other day, and we love the movie. It's 20 years old.
Yep.
And there Luc Besson is 20 years later giving us this movie. I was absolutely blown away by this movie. And it's not going to win any awards. It's going to be a cult classic. Yep. Nobody's going to see it. It's going to bomb.
Is it because you have the Fifth Element vibes? Are you feeling like a little sympathetic to this movie because you know how
yes, and yes, for all of it.
Okay.
We love the Fifth Element.
Yes.
This feels like the Fifth Element, which is wonderful. Like, what did you think?
Well, I think you're right. I think that it's such a dense and beautiful and, you know, obviously a passion project, a labor of love from not just Luc Besson, but his veritable army, right, of artists that worked on this thing. It is one of those movies where you're constantly unpacking elements, no pun intended. It's so beautiful.
He's created, once again, a lived-in universe and just stuffed it to the brim with stuff, man. I mean, I need to watch this movie at least 4 more times just to soak it all in.
I agree.
It was just like The Fifth Element 20 years ago. The movie just blew over my head, and this movie is exactly the same. It just blasted past me, and I was like, what the hell is going on?
It has much more of a utopian future, though, a more utopian ideal of where society is going to go to, interplanetary society. And I love the opening sequence, which actually
really good.
Which takes us, from kind of present-day space traveling to building a space station to that becoming this city of 1,000 planets. And we see this stream of alien creatures, and it's just also matter-of-fact and nonchalant, and whatever manner of creature walks in and shakes the hand of whoever else is there. And
it was awesome.
Fantastic.
So all these alien races start developing and getting together on this one big space station, and it develops into a huge city, and that's just the first 1 minute of the movie. And then we're introduced to the main characters that are part of the Human Federation, and they're known as the Human Federation, and they're trying to get something back. We're not going to spoil it, but my God, the visual effects in this movie, we could stand here and talk about this movie for 45 minutes about the effects alone.
Yes.
Well, incredible.
You forget that you're watching CG, which I think is the testament to the work, but I think it's also the dream for all of these artists as well. Definitely, you can see the hat tip to Avatar, which I think was a huge.
Yes, I definitely saw that too.
Right?
There's some scenes we can't talk about, but you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
and it's a big inspiration. You can feel it. And actually, there's moments in the score that felt very John Williams-esque and very much like I was about to hear the Jurassic Park theme, and it's epic, but it's foreign.
So foreign,
right?
I know that's the best way to put it.
It's got this European vibe and
alien vibe,
and an alien vibe to it, and also an accepting vibe. Like once again, just like in The Fifth Element, that sort of collision of different,
different races all living together
and civilizations.
Yeah, sharing information, and it's just wild.
It's wonderful to see, right? I mean, there's kind of like this respect that's projected throughout this movie, and this appreciation for beauty and boundaries, and pretty fine performance work. I did think that we were hampered a little bit by the schmaltziness and the romance between Cara Delevingne and Dane DeHaan. I think they're totally competent actors. They have a lot of scenes together and a lot of action to pull off, and you actually believe them. They're pretty fantastic performers.
It's almost like humankind has gone through such an evolution that this is what we end up as.
Yes.
They're almost superhuman in a way. Nonchalant. They can solve anything. Nothing shocks them. It's like they've conquered this world, which kind of makes sense. We've conquered this world, and they've conquered this amazing futuristic world in the future.
World. And they have all the technology too, and that's another thing. The technology that's interwoven in here has a grounded believability to it, but it's also so freaking cool.
Remember? Okay, we don't want to say. There's a mall?
Yes.
Like, not even a mall, it's like a city that you can go to, a marketplace. That's gigantic, but you can only see through VR.
Yes.
It's in another dimension. I mean, listen to this.
It's crazy. I love this suit that Dane DeHaan wears that allows him to bust through walls, and he's flying through different things. It was like a scene from Anthem.
We were talking about that. It's so crazy.
It was really cool. And, they also have this kind of relationship with their ship, and there's all kinds of augmentation.
Layers, I know.
Right, and it's all kind of AI driven, which kind of makes sense it's based on the kind of world that we're living in today. You can see this extrapolation in this movie.
And the VR and all that. Yeah, it's just wonderful. The technology and the aliens and the world. And I believed it all. And the action was going on. And you were a little tired tonight, but you still like the action. I was gripped the whole way through.
I was very impressed by this movie, all the way through this movie as well. Yes, I did. I do feel like, you know, some of the Rihanna stuff got a little bit cheesy.
I liked it.
I love her performance. I love the stuff that's in the trailer.
It's like the opera scene in Fifth Element. It was the same thing again.
That was very cool. It was, you know, sort of the afterwards stuff where we got into sort of the touchy-feely stuff, which felt a little inauthentic.
Oh, I liked it.
It was okay.
Yeah.
It feels. You know, I think Luc Besson is, at its heart, he's kind of an unabashed romantic, and I think he plays with stuff, and you know, he writes like with his heart on his sleeve, and sometimes it's just a little too front-facing.
It's very European.
I think so. And sometimes it's a little too squishy and makes you feel a little uncomfortable.
Well, it did in The Fifth Element. It was a little cheesy.
Certainly did in The Professional as well.
Yes, I know he has those cheesy elements. I'm watching the movie, I'm like, this is cheesy, but I love it. And I learned that from watching The Fifth Element the first time. I was going, this is cheesy, and then all of a sudden, years later, I become, come to appreciate it. I can't wait for the Blu-ray. I can't wait to watch the behind the scenes.
This is going to be a great 4K Blu-ray, man.
Oh my God, I'm coming over with popcorn for that one. I will watch this again. And it's really sad. This does not have mass market appeal. Nobody's going to see this movie. And it's so sad.
I don't know about that. I think this might actually take off because it's a tall order to come out with a sci-fi spectacle like this that stands up to, you know, the Star Wars franchise or, you know, the recent Battlestar Galactica or even Fifth Element. You know, Luc Besson comes with a lot of baggage and weight now, right? People want to see him beat his last thing.
And that's what I want to say to the audience right now, everybody watching. You only get one of these movies every 20 years. So enjoy it. Go and see it. We saw it in 3D and I enjoyed the hell out of it.
The 3D was pretty good. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing this on in an IMAX screen and or just as a straight 2D. You're certainly going to appreciate everything. But I agree with you. I think people should get out there and support this movie because it is based on a property, a French comic, which actually one of the creators of the French comic actually worked on production design for The Fifth Element. And so there's a nice full circle there, but it's kind of foreign to a lot of North American and Western audiences.
I know.
Right? And I feel like, go and support this, man. I don't think we're going to get a sequel.
Oh, no. I want a sequel. I want to see this movie every year, a new sequel of these characters.
I know.
Another, a new adventure they go on. I had a great amount of fun. Even though it's really cheesy, it's incredible cheesy.
It's very
brilliant.
Cool. And it's not a Marvel movie, and it's not a Star Wars movie.
That's exactly it.
It's not a DC superhero movie. It's its own entity, and it's worth supporting.
Absolutely.
What are you going to give Valerian and the City of 1,000 Planets?
You know what? The other day, I gave, The Fifth Element a very high score.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little under that one. I'm going to wait for some repeat viewings, but I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
I liked it too. 8.5 from me. So if you see a movie like this and it inspires you to make your own flicks, you can learn to do that in 1 year by signing up at the Vancouver Film School. Go to vfs.edu.
And you can be the next Luc Besson.